This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Learning team happened at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Myself and a fellow named Chris Cantwell were discussing an event that had happened that was pretty interesting. The event that had transpired was, I would say it was a very interesting close call. It wasn't really an event, but the reason it wasn't an event is because it failed safely or failed luckily. And we'll have to sort of determine. But we had a grad student go into the field and set up a lightning monitor. And the field in this case was the Gulf Coast of the United States. And in the process of setting up this lightning monitor, dropped a wrench into a battery pack, which was big, like lots of batteries in a bit. And it had a straight short across the DC battery pack. And so that's pretty, that's potentially, it could be a bad event, right? I mean, it had all the makings of something that was really bad, but instead what he did was went and got a stick off the ground and poked it in the battery box and kicked the wrench off and stopped the short, and then crossed his fingers, hooked everything up, turned it on, and hoped it would work. And it worked. So then the grad student comes back to the laboratory, to our facility, and that next week he has to take electrical safety training, which seems a little bit horse before the cart. No, cart before the horse. If you know, it seems like you'd want him to take that before he went in the field and hooked up some elaborate DC system that he could short out with a wrench. But that's neither here nor there. So he went to the electrical safety training, which was given by a guy named Lloyd Gordon, who's great. I mean, he's an amazing electrical safety dude. And he told them that everything should be reported in the ability to learn better. And then the grad student said, well, what if this happens in the field? And Lloyd says, oh, if that happened, you definitely need to report that. So the grad student, because he wants to get a job at the laboratory and he wants to be a good student and he wants to make his mentors happy, he comes back and reports on himself. And so the division that had this event, and they had to do something, and they didn't want to do an investigation because they didn't want to punish the guy, but they didn't know what else to do. And that takes us to Chris Cantwell and myself standing in the hallway. And we're standing in the hallway of our office, and Chris says, I wish there was a way we could just bring together a bunch of workers and just ask them to help formulate the problem and ask them to help create the solution. And I said, well, let's do it. I mean, there's totally a way to do that. We just do it. I'll take that action tomorrow. And so we did. We got some people together, peers. We didn't have the grad student himself in the learning team because at the time we didn't think that would be good. But we had peers and people who had expertise in that kind of field work, and they came together, and the rest is kind of history. The first meeting was amazing because we started learning so much more stuff. We had a second meeting, and the second meeting was really interesting because that artificial break between meeting 1 and meeting 2 allowed us to really shift into sort of understanding and doing some findings, some conclusions, maybe some fixes in that case. And it was so interesting because we thought we were going to actually go into this learning team to look at an electrical safety problem, but what we ended up actually coming out of the learning team with was really a pretty damning set of information, not a report, but a set of information on how poorly we were at actually managing and supervising grad students. And it changed the entire program, and it was really, really important and very successful. And we started calling it a learning team because, again, it was descriptive. This was a team that was set up to learn. And that's how we kicked it off.